In today's short video, I'm answering a question that was posed by one of my viewers of a previous video. He was asking about the distortion in Class B and Class C amplifiers and to show that distortion using the FFT on a scope. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. Now the video that prompted this question was video number 113 that was done several years ago. That talked about Class A, B, C, and AB single transistor amplifiers. Now the thing that determines the class of operation is what's called the conduction angle, or over what portion of a signal, such as a sine wave, does the amplifier amplify and conduct. In the case of Class A, it conducts over the entire 360 degrees of a sine wave. For Class B, it only conducts over 180 degrees, only half of that sine wave. So the transistor is cut off for half of the cycle and is on for the other half. Class C, it's less than 180 degrees. And then Class AB is kind of between A and B, where you'll have some conduction, about at the positive half cycle, for example, and fully on the negative half cycle. So something between 180 and 360 degrees. So as you can see, a Class A amplifier, by its very nature, has got the lowest distortion. Class AB is next, and then Class B and then Class C will have higher and higher and higher amounts of distortion. Again, for a more complete review of these amplifier classes and the conduction angles and how all that works, take a look at video number 113, which I'll link down below. Now for today's quick video, here's our very simple test circuit. It's a 2N22 transistor set up as a common emitter amplifier with some emitter degeneration, 330 ohms in the emitter, 3.9 k ohms in the collector, 12 volt supply. I'm using a function generator to generate a sinusoidal test signal being fed to the base through a 1K resistor. And my function generator has the ability of adding a DC offset to the sinusoidal output. So all I'm going to do is set up a sinusoidal output, adjust the offset up or down, which will drive this transistor through the various classes of operation. Now if your function generator doesn't have the ability to add a DC offset to a sinusoidal signal, you could alternatively do something like this, where you have your sinusoidal signal generator fed through a capacitor, make it large enough to be low impedance at the test frequency you're using, and then take a variable DC power supply and through a resistor, again it could be 5, 10 k ohms, something like that, to supply bias to the input of the circuit here. And then you can turn your signal on and adjust the offset up or down to do the same thing that I'm doing with the offset control here. Now on the scope, we're probing the output or the collector with channel 1, and we're also probing the input here with channel 2. And with these resistors, this amplifier is going to have a gain of just a little bit over 10. Okay, if we take a look here, the yellow trace here is the output at our collector. The blue trace here is the input at the base. And I've got both of these channels DC coupled. Ground in both cases is this radical line down here. So we can see if I move my offset of this signal, let's say we move the offset down, you can see that moving down ever so slightly. Obviously the DC output, if you will, the DC offset of the output is going to rise. And if I bring this down far enough, eventually the negative half cycle of the input is going to cut off the transistor. And we go into first Class AB operation, and then we cut half of the signal off, and that's basically Class B, cut more of the signal off, and that's Class C. So each of these obviously is distorting that sinusoidal output. So what does that look like on the FFT? So the red trace here is our FFT, and we can see the fundamental of our sinusoidal signal right here, and then the second harmonic, third, fourth, fifth, etc. We can see that this second harmonic here is about 10, 20, 30, about 35 dB down. And that will change even if we adjust the offset of our signal. We can actually see if I bring this signal down a little bit more, that second harmonic is coming down. Eventually the third harmonic starts coming up because we've actually started to saturate the transistor. So there's an optimum point where just before we saturate that transistor, these harmonics are all down pretty low. That first harmonic being down almost 40 dB, which is actually pretty good. Now of course, I'm using a 12 volt supply and I'm amplifying this signal up to about 8 volts, which is quite a lot for a single transistor amplifier, so there is going to be some distortion, so that's why we do see some harmonic content here. In fact, I've got a little test application here that I can bring up that's showing me the total harmonic distortion of about 1.5%. So we'll use that kind of as our benchmark. So we can see as I bring my offset down, the input signal coming down, the output signal raises up, and eventually I start cutting off the transistor. As I cut off this transistor, you'll notice how much these harmonics have come up. They come up pretty dramatically. So we can see that I go from not cutting off to right here. These harmonics are early starting to come up here. So if I even at here where I'm in class A-B operation, these harmonic content has come up quite a bit, and we're up to about 17% total harmonic distortion. If we keep reducing that offset, so I'm in essentially class B where I'm conducting for half a cycle, I'm just going to eyeball it about here. So at about half of the cycle of conduction, we can see that that second harmonic is only down about 10 dB, a little bit less. Some of the other harmonics have come up, and now I'm up at 36% total harmonic distortion. And if we keep going down to fully into class C operation, we can see now that the fundamental is even dropping, and the difference between my fundamental and the second harmonic is less than 10 dB, and my harmonic distortion is, wow, 60%. So yeah, class B, class B, class C operation adds a lot of harmonic distortion to our signal. The benefit, as I've described in the previous video, is that you can get more power gain, more efficiency with class B and class C operation because the transistor is not conducting all of the time. Now, of course, the price you pay for that is distortion. But you can, with filtering, remove the distortion components and therefore get the benefit of better power efficiency and low distortion. So to illustrate this, I'm going to replace the 3.9K resistive load in the collector with a parallel LC circuit that is tuned to basically be resonant at the test frequency here, which is about 16 kilohertz. So I'm simply going to move this connection here from that resistor to this LC resonant load, which is effectively a filtering type load. Now to illustrate this on the scope, I'm making a couple of quick changes. I'm going to AC couple the scope so that the signal kind of stays in the middle here. And I've adjusted, I'm back on the 3.9K resistor, so I can actually see my distortion components are actually quite low. I'm going to move under this condition over to my resonant load. Now the resonant load doesn't present as high impedance because I'm using some low Q components, but I can see I've got a nice clean sinusoid here. I'm just going to bring the gain of it up here a little bit. In fact, I'm going to bring the math channel offset up here so we can see it a little bit better. But you can see the harmonic components are way down because this is a resonant load. It's only going to present a reasonable load impedance at the resonant frequency, and then the other harmonics are going to see a lower load impedance, so they're attenuated. So we actually get lower distortion in this case. So in fact, we're down around about 0.3% instead of the 1.5% we saw before. So even in the Class A operation, the resonant load helps reduce the distortion. Now switching back to my resistive load, I'll only bring my offset down here to the point where I get into, let's go to, say, Class B operation here. Okay, about half the cycle not conducting. So I can see the harmonic components are really high, are high with respect to our fundamental here, and our distortion, again, where I've got it set now, is about 40%. So I'm going to switch right over to the resonant load. And we can see, now again the gain is lower, so I'm going to increase my volts per division scale here and bring the FFT up here again. And again, we can now see that that second harmonic is down a good 10, 20, 30, about 35 dB, and the distortion is around 2%. So we went from 40% distortion to just 2% distortion by using a resonant load that only presents a reasonable load impedance at the fundamental frequency that we're looking at here, and is therefore rejecting all the harmonics. And that would be typically how like a Class C or a Class B amplifier would be used, especially in things like RF applications, where the load of the RF power amplifier would be a resonant load of some sort, so you can get rid of the higher order distortion components. And just to illustrate what I mean by a resonant load, this LC circuit is resonant about 16 kilohertz. That's the signal I've got going in here. Now if I adjust my input frequency below that, we can actually see the fundamental come way down. And it'll come back up again, and the fundamental comes way back up. I'll go above that in frequency, okay, up around 17 kilohertz, and it drops down again. So we can see that that resonant load is only providing a lot of gain, if you will, at the resonant frequency of that load. So these Class C, Class B, Class C amplifiers will generally make sense if you want good power efficiency, but generally over a more limited frequency range where you can use filtering to remove the distortion that you get, and therefore then take advantage of the power gain that you get, or the power added efficiency. So again, just a short video, not intended to be a complete tutorial on Class B and Class C amplifier distortion and correction methods, but just a quick example to show what the distortion looks like using the FFT on the scope to get a real clear picture of how the distortion components manifest themselves as the signal clips with the offset that you've got dialed in for the signal. So to the viewer that asked the question, I hope this video answered your question. And as always, if you've got questions or comments in any of my videos, please feel free to leave a comment below. I try to read all the comments that are placed, and oftentimes we'll put together responses such as this. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and thanks again for watching. See you next time.